I once woke up in a car to violent shaking and flying pieces of glass. I screamed and instinctively covered my head with my hands, wishing 100 times that I hadn't hitchhiked. The car I was riding in had been crashed into by a drunk driver's car. Everything was fine. I survived. But before I was dragged out of the back seat, every second I spent in the wrecked car felt like hell. When I hear the word danger, I remember this story, and my brain can't even imagine what kind of nonsense it really was against the background of real deadly nightmares that lie in wait for a person outside our blue ball. Every year, we're getting closer to colonizing Mars. But if you knew how dangerous this planet was, you wouldn't want to pack your bags. You'd step onto its rocky surface, and at this point, I suggest we slow down our journey and find out what would happen in just 1 nanosecond of being on Mars. It takes you 50 million nanoseconds to wake, so you wouldn't even have time to blink, as you'd immediately find yourself in the epicenter of a dust storm. Next, you'd receive a blow with a force of 1.5 tons, as if you were being run over by a passenger car. The wind speed on Mars reaches 186 miles per hour, and the dust funnels easily reach the size of Mount Everest. Your time on Mars, 15 seconds. Now you're lying shell-shocked in one of the craters, your bones broken, and the Martian dust already covering you from head to toe. This isn't surprising, as it has the most extensive dusty winds in the entire solar system that last for several months. If Mars isn't enough for you, then welcome to Jupiter. Here the wind speed reaches 400 miles per hour, and in addition to this, there are colossal lightning flashes in the sky, 100 times brighter than Earth's. In 1 nanosecond, you'd notice only lightning, and in the next moment, you'd be knocked down by a cosmic storm. But if you stayed longer, you'd see a stunning ocean shore. It's composed of liquid metallic hydrogen with a discharge current of several thousand amps, so you'd completely fry inside it. However, this is a bit boring. There are speeds and more. Move to planet 51 Pegasi B. Here, the hot wind reaches more than 600 miles per hour, almost the speed of sound. It would be a 4.5-ton wind surge, practically a bomb blast. In 1 nanosecond, you would definitely not fly far away. But as soon as you crashed down, you'd get molten metal dripping down your collar. This planet has very high temperatures, which allow the iron to evaporate and fall right on your head. My conclusion is that it's better to die in the first nanoseconds, breaking all your bones, than to enjoy such rain. However, you haven't seen the weather forecast on this carbon planet yet, and it isn't pleasant. They're predicting gasoline rain. If you want to become an oil magnet, then this planet is for you. Because here, whole oil seas are bubbling, and diamonds are scattered literally under your feet, like in the treasury of an Arabic fairy tale. But there's one problem. You need to drag this stuff to Earth in 1 nanosecond before you inhale carbon. And now I suggest we move to a cooler place. If you froze on the planet Neptune for 1 nanosecond, you'd have time to notice the local winds that carry frozen clouds of natural gas past the northern edge of the Great Dark Spot. Here, a hurricane the size of the Earth is raging, with a wind speed of about 1,500 miles per hour. This is twice the speed required to overcome the sound barrier. Despite the fact that the local temperature is minus 328 degrees, you wouldn't be in danger of dying from the cold. You wouldn't even have time to blink. and you'd already be in the epicenter of an anticyclone storm at supersonic speed. So your body would be torn to pieces like garbage in a few nanoseconds. If you wanted to freeze yourself for free in a cryochamber and leave a memory of yourself to the people of the future, or aliens, then you should definitely fly to Pluto. Its surface temperature rarely rises above minus 378 degrees. Frozen nitrogen, carbon monoxide, and methane cover the surface of this planet like snow for most of the year, which is about 248 Earth years. On a clear day, the sun provides Pluto with about as much heat and light as the moon gives Earth on a full moon. So your body would remain intact for centuries, except in the form of an ice floe. And now, it's time to warm up and move on to romantic Venus. However, the romantic here is only in its name. The pressure of the atmosphere of Venus is 92 times higher than the pressure to which we're accustomed. This means that you'd be flattened in the first nanosecond, before you had time to inhale and enjoy the toxic gases, and then catch fire from the local temperature of plus 863 degrees. Your remains would be dissolved in a rain of sulfuric acid. The automatic interplanetary station of the Soviet Union lasted only 127 minutes on this planet, after which this device was simultaneously crushed and melted. Now, you know for sure that Venus is the hottest place for a romantic date. If all of this doesn't seem like enough for you, and you wanted to fry immediately, then you should go straight to the sun. Its diameter is 109 times larger than the Earth, and the surface temperature of the sun is between 10,400 and 10,800 degrees. You'd be gone for good after 5 trillionths of a nanosecond of blood clotting, and then you'd burn up like a speck of space dust, especially if you didn't have a carbon foam heat shield like the Parker Solar Probe launched on August 12, 2018. I hope you're not tired yet, because personally, I'm tired of the solar system. There are much more interesting and no less dangerous places in the universe. For example, quasars are the brightest objects that humanity has been able to detect in our visible universe. I suggest we go to the Einstein Cross Quasar, the most distant and deadly object in the universe. At its center is a huge black hole that is larger than billions of suns. Moreover, this huge mass of energy moves at 80% the speed of light. So, the first nanosecond has passed, and you're in the epicenter of the quasar. You're blinded by a bright flash, because quasars can emit energy up to 100 times more than all the stars in our galaxy. You break up into elementary particles, which then become a pulsar wind. At first glance, it sounds poetic. Quasars are a window into the past, because their light has been reaching us for millions of years. You'd literally become a part of the universe. However, becoming a part of the pulsar wind isn't as great as it seems at first glance. Inside, you'd be disassembled into elementary particles, waiting for a bombardment of charged particles which are accelerated to near light speeds. Photons would be knocked out of you, and you'd radiate light. At least it would be beautiful. I think that in the future, pulsar wind could replace cremation for us. Well, I guess my car accident story pales in comparison to all this cosmic mayhem. But for now, these universal-scale nightmares are too far away from you. You're much more likely to suffer from a brick falling on your head than from a pulsar wind. I would have ended this video on this positive note if it weren't for the volcanoes. Yes, you heard that right. It's the volcanoes that keep me up at night. Unlike the distant Martian storms and gasoline rains, our home planet has its own dangers. Boiling masses of a molten mixture of silicon dioxide and metals that could destroy an entire city. What would happen if you felt just one drop?